Have you ever noticed that the gender debates online always recycle these same few arguments that men aren't emotional enough and women are too emotional? Do you notice that? Society wants it that way. What if those flaws that everyone's talking about, those flaws, aren't actually flaws, but are actually the reason why we work so perfectly together? Because if we came together and understood that those flaws mean we work as a strong, united front of masculine and feminine, society wouldn't be able to control either of us. By the end of this video, you'll see how our brains are two halves of one complete system, and how that's why they have spent decades and decades trying to separate us and pit us against each other. Hey guys, it's Thoughts by Keeks. Welcome back to my bedroom. Today's going to be a heavy topic, a very big, important topic that I really want to talk about because it's stupid. It's stupid. All I see in society when men and women are fighting and men and women are ripping each other apart, I just think it's so dumb. I think it's so dumb. Sorry for my candor, because that's what it is. I'm being completely honest with you right now. I think it is so dumb. And anyone falling into this trap, take a step back. Do you seriously think humans would be biologically programmed to be like this and it isn't for a purpose? Do you seriously think men were biologically designed to be less emotional than women for women to bash them about it? And do you seriously think women were biologically designed to be more emotional than men so men can bash them about it? Do you seriously think we were made different so we could fight like cats and dogs? Or do you think there's a purpose for it? Because there is, and I'll explain it. Don't get it twisted. This war between the sexes is completely engineered. It is completely engineered to divide. Women's weaknesses are men's strengths and vice versa. We are so strong, united, that society wants us separated so we can be controlled. That's just the fact of the matter. They do this in almost every single aspect of life. They plant these little psy-ops that make us little underling civilians think, oh, we're just gossiping and complaining about how they're frustrating to us. But it's so much deeper than that. They're programming our brains. They're programming our brains to play the victim and blame someone else in every aspect of life. And this is the most detrimental psy-op. They are ripping apart the masculine-feminine duality of nature. They are ripping apart the equilibrium of the human species. And it's deliberate. I'm going to delve into some neuroscience here just to show you the parts of our brains that differ, what that determines in our behavior, and why it is made that way. So first we are going to start off with the amygdala. This part of your brain rules over your emotion and your threat detection. Kind of your fight or flight response, basically, your amygdala. The amygdala is larger in male brains, which means they're quicker to fight or flight. They snap into action when they sense danger, and they stay logical and objective under stress. For women, it's a bit different. Their amygdala is a bit more connected to the prefrontal cortex, which I'll explain soon, but this basically means we experience more emotional nuance and empathy, and we're more emotional when we sense danger. I didn't need to explain neuroscience to tell you that. You hear it in society. Basically, how these differences work together regarding the amygdala is he protects the tribe and she senses and assesses the tribe's emotions. So basically together it is safety and stability. Next we're going to talk about the prefrontal cortex. So just to give it a bit more context on why I mentioned the prefrontal cortex just before. So the prefrontal cortex governs over your decision making and your impulse control. So for men, when their amygdala is activated, when they're experiencing fear or threat response or emotion, their prefrontal cortex is slightly less active, which means basically their brains prioritize action over rumination. And for women, it's more active. Remember how I said the amygdala, when the amygdala is activated, it is more connected to the prefrontal cortex. That means our brains work in a sense of reflection and future thinking regarding the emotion as well. So we kind of reflect on what's just happened and then we plan on how we can avoid it in the future. It's a more slow thinking. We don't kick into action. We sit back back, take a second, digest what's happened. How that works together is he acts fast and she plans long. Together, you've got the visionary and you've got the executionist. She comes up with the vision and he executes the vision. Now we're going to talk about the hippocampus. This governs over your memory and your context, how you contextualize events that happens in your life. So for men, they have a smaller hippocampus, which means they have more direct action-based recall. And if you're a man, chime in the comments if this is right, but it's basically like you see someone doing an action or you see something actionable and like tangible, not emotion and action, and that triggers a memory. I don't know, I don't have a male brain, but that's how I'm understanding what I'm learning with this. They're more direct with their memory. They remember things based on actions, not really as much the emotion tied into it. And for women, we have larger hippocampuses, which means we have stronger emotional and relational memory, meaning we have an experience that triggers an emotional response in us, and that emotional response triggers a memory from another time where we had that same emotional response. That's kind of what triggers female memories. That's also another reason why women can overthink more, ruminate more in relationships, because if something your partner does makes you feel anxious about something, you will remember an old toxic relationship where you felt anxious, and even though it isn't necessarily a red flag, your brain will see it as a red flag because you're tying the emotion, not necessarily the direct action is reminding you. Does that make sense? But how this ties together is he remembers what to do and she remembers why to do it. One creates the structure and one preserves the meaning in that structure. So it's a perfect duality, perfect harmony. Now we're going to talk about the corpus callosum. This connects the hemispheres in your brain. You've got the left and right hemisphere in your brain, which is logic and emotion. So the corpus callosum connects those hemispheres. It's the part that connects the logical and emotional thinking in your brain. For men, the corpus callosum is less dense. This means it is way easier for a man to compartmentalize. At any given point in time, they're thinking purely out of logic or purely out of emotion. And this is one thing I see society ripping on, and this is one thing that I have understood for a long time, and this is one thing that pisses me off when I see people talking about it like it's not meant to be that way. So for women, the corpus callosum is denser, which means we process information through logic and through emotion. And we have emotional integration through every single opinion we hold, every single value we hold, everything we think about, we integrate logic and emotion through it. Men integrate emotion or logic depending on the situation. So how this works together is he brings the logical clarity and she brings the context and the nuances, which you need both. It's where focus meets flexibility. It's beautiful. And now we're going to talk about the thalamus and the hypothalamus. This governs your drive and your hormones. So obviously everyone knows this. Men have a stronger testosterone influence in their body and in their hormones. This means they're more driven, they're more competitive, and they have more risk-taking qualities. And for women, we have more estrogen and oxytocin influence, which means we're wired towards bonding and nurturing. So basically how these two things work together is he drives the expansion, he drives the progression, and she maintains the connection. Together, this is literally evolution's engine. For all my spiritual baddies out there, for everyone that understands the masculine feminine dynamic of energy and shit like that. It is in everything. It is needed in everything. So how come I see spiritual baddies who talk about this shit? They're talking about masculine feminine energy and how it's a perfect dichotomy and how they work together so well. However, they're also ripping apart men online. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you and I'm judging. Because these aren't flaws, guys. They're polarity. This is yin and yang. Protection and preservation. Logic and intuition. You split them and you break humanity's equilibrium. And that's what you're doing. Okay, now that you guys understand a little bit about how neuroscience divides the sexes, that was just necessary context for this next section. I'm going to talk about society's common digs against men and women, back them up with neuroscience, and explain the hidden strength in them. First thing I hear a lot is men have no empathy. What's the definition of empathy? Empathy is understanding someone else's pain like it's your own. Empathy is feeling someone else's pain, knowing exactly how they feel and understanding it. If you're a woman saying men have no empathy, of course they have no empathy for you. They have different brains. They have no idea what it's like to walk through life as a woman. And you have no idea what it's like to walk through life as a man. So you have no empathy for men as well. The neurological root of this claim, though, they have less hemispherical communication. They quite literally are only thinking in logic or emotions at one given point in time. So of course, if you're having an argument with a man, the common argument structure with a man of when you're trying to explain your emotions and he's clapping back at you with logic about how you shouldn't be emotional about that thing with logical reasoning, that is an exact example of this. And you shouldn't necessarily be pissed off that this is happening. It's incredibly frustrating. However, that's just how women and men work together. You're going to need to understand that and communicate, hey, you don't need to sit there and defend yourself logically. I just need you to hear me out. I just need you to hear how I feel and listen to me. I don't need you to try and understand it, to try and embody it, to try and empathize with it. I just need you to hear me out and take it into account. Because you can logically explain why I shouldn't be upset about this. It doesn't take the emotion away. That's how you clock that. But yeah, they have less hemispherical communication between the parts of their brains. So they quite literally don't. They don't have empathy when women are being emotional. And that's okay. They can't control that. It's not like they're being apathetic towards you because they hate you, or they can't be bothered understanding you because they don't care. They aren't neurologically capable of it. And that's okay. They compartmentalize their pain to cope and to lead under stress. Imagine if in primitive times, if this is such a pain point for you and you wish this was different about men, imagine if that happened in primitive times. There's a bear coming out the tribe and the woman's like, oh my god, there's a bear, oh my god, I gotta make sure everyone's okay. And the man is going, bear, fight, protect. If a man worked the exact same as us neurologically, he'd be like, oh my god, there's a bear, what do I do? Is everyone okay? Who would fight the bear? No one would fight the bear. The bear would kill you all. Like, it's perfect. Humans were designed perfectly. Even if it's inconvenient for you because you want to be coddled and understood and empathized with, it's just not possible. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that a man has free reign to keep hurting you and hurting you and hurting you. They're capable of understanding that something hurts you and stopping it. They just maybe aren't capable of, like, getting in your brain and empathizing with how you feel. So yeah, that claim is true, but it's stupid to throw at a man. The next claim is women are too emotional. Take away the word too, and it's correct. From a man's perspective, women are too emotional because that's not how their brain works. It's the same way as women look at men and go, men aren't empathetic enough. That's because our brains work different, and from our perspective, they're not empathetic enough and we're not logical enough to them. We're different. We're looking at things through different lenses. Not one is right or wrong. It just is. And it's beautiful and it's perfect. But the neurological backing to this claim is women have higher limbic system reactivity and mirror neuron density. Basically, that is just a bunch of fancy scientific words for we have an emotional radar and we pick up emotions that men miss. We pick up subtle cues in their face that they're not aware of because of our mirror neurons. I know we've all heard of mirror neurons, it's all over TikTok, but like, we mirror their emotions and they're not aware of their emotions and we're mirroring it. So they're like, what are you doing? Guy, I've got my emotions and yours. This claim is true as well, but what's wrong with it? Nothing. The next claim, this is so funny to me. The next claim is men only want sex. Yeah. And I'll give you the neurological backing for that too. Remember how I spoke about the thalamus and the hypothalamus? They are more governed by testosterone, which means they're wired to pursue, protect, and provide all their energy outward. There's a common pattern. You spiritual baddies tie this in with masculine and feminine energy. What is feminine energy? Introspection, receiving, looking inward, reflection, looking inward with our emotion, rumination, integration of the emotions, figuring shit out, picking up on emotions around us, absorbing everyone's emotions. Men, projecting, pursuing, productivity, action, all outward. And this is just another example of that. This is another manifestation of them projecting their energy outward. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is just different to you as a woman. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The next one is women overthink everything. Yeah, this is true. This is true as well. As I stated before, we have larger prefrontal and hippocampal networks, which means basically, remember how I was talking about we are a visionary. When we feel an emotion, we assess outward how it could happen in the future and also reflect on how it happened in the past and how to avoid it in the future. Women pick up on shit. We foresee potential risks. We are nature's early warning system. People talk about women's intuition, women's intuition, women's intuition. This is about female brains taking in more nuances in situations. We're taking in the subtle facial cues, the subtle body language. We're taking in very subtle subconscious, taking it all in subconsciously. We're taking in all this stimuli that men simply aren't wired to see. They're wired for action. We're wired for pattern recognition. So women's intuition is simply real-time cognitive pattern recognition and threat assessment. And I think that's beautiful. So yeah, intuition isn't just some like spiritual la-di-da woo-woo shit. Intuition is quite literally just cognitive pattern recognition in real time. We're amazing. Women are amazing. Men are amazing too. We're amazing together. My next claim is men don't communicate. And that's because for verbal stuff, for verbalizing things, they're left brain dominant. They're again with the corpus callosum. They're not communicating between right, left hemisphere all the time. They quite literally can't process emotions and let it out like that. They can't do that like us. They just can't. And we can't do shit like men, and men can't do shit like us. It's just how it is. What's wrong with it? I wonder how many times I've crashed out on this channel. They conserve their words, they save their words for clarity and for logic. Think about it. Their purpose is to protect and provide. They don't have time for the emotional narratives going on in their head and to reflect on their emotions and communicate them. The next complaint I see is that women can't handle pressure. We have an emotionally responsive amygdala, and there's nothing wrong with that. When our amygdala is activated, we're very slow reactors. We turn inward and crumble inward and freak out. And we are overcome by all these emotions. That's just how we're wired. We're not wired to see a threat and jump into action straight away. Why would you want to as a woman? Why would you want to have to deal with the stress? So like, I just hate this. I hate this. Women not being able to handle pressure isn't a liability. It is quite literally what creates comfort and community in a tribe under crisis. Like that's our purpose. Like we keep everyone together and stable and okay and dealing with shit while the men are dealing with it and fighting off the fucking predator. Society took our evolutionary design and perverted it as dysfunction. Because if we looked at men and women as things that complete each other and not compete with each other, we'd stop being predictable, controllable individuals and start being an unstoppable collective. So you're probably thinking, Keeks, alright, I get it. Everything that we complain about is biologically made that way and designed that way and it's perfect and it serves a purpose and we complement each other. Like, I get it, but why is society trying to pull us apart? I'll tell you why. It's an agenda. It's the gender agenda. The gender agenda. You can't control people who are united in love, purpose, and polarity. If men and women loved each other and were united and were working as beautiful parts of a whole, you can't control that. Masculinity is being vilified in society and perverted into violence and toxic masculinity and all these stereotypes about masculine men, because masculine men who are wired to look through a logical lens can't be manipulated with emotional arguments. And if a woman had a masculine man by her side, if she started to get swayed by emotional arguments, that man would be able to clock it. And if women let men lead, which is what society is trying to break down as well, by saying, don't let a man control your life, da 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 da. And it's not really about control. It is literally just understanding that men have a logical viewpoint of the world and you should trust that over emotions, things that are subjective. Let's say a marriage, you wouldn't be able to shake that marriage. You wouldn't be able to manipulate them. And if you think society is still doing things for our benefit, wake up. Wake up. Femininity is also under attack, guys. It's pretty obvious that masculinity is being attacked because it's pretty overt. It's like these things are toxic masculinity, vulgar, aggressive men. And there's a reason why a lot of men are vulgar and aggressive nowadays. Probably because masculinity is being attacked. Masculinity is boiled down to aggression and toxicity, and I don't like it. It's bullshit. So it's pretty overt the way that they're attacking masculinity. It's even more sneaky the way that they're attacking femininity. The definition of femininity is being reprogrammed. A secure woman who knows her worth and knows her purpose can't be sold false empowerment. Society is trying to convince women that to be empowered as a woman, you have to become a man. You have to provide for yourself. Don't have kids. That's going to slow you down. That's going to exhaust you. Sell your body online. Men only think about sex anyway, so profit off it. It's perverted. It is perverted. They're selling you false empowerment when all you have to do to feel empowered is to live life and have a goal of greater purpose and to understand your true femininity and embody your true femininity, and don't be ashamed of it. Don't let society turn you into some masculine woman who's cold, empty, only looking out for profit, only looking out for money, doesn't care about anyone else's emotions. You're literally betraying your biology. It's covert, the way they're manipulating femininity, and I hate it. I hate to see it. What are they doing consequentially? It's not just a consequence, it's the aim of the game for these guys. But what do you do when that happens? When you break down femininity, you break down masculinity, you pit them against each other, you break down the nuclear family. You break the family, you break the generational foundation. You break down the building blocks of society. Single parent households, they're only getting taught to think in either masculine, feminine ways. You raise a child with the dad doing the masculine roles and the women teaching the feminine roles. You've got a well-rounded kid that understands productivity, logic, and achievement, and also emotional nuance, empathy, understanding, comfort, nurturing. You take that away, you've got a kid that thinks his worth is defined by the achievements he has, or you've got a child who is severely emotionally unregulated and uses their emotions as an excuse to skip work, skip school, skip everything. You're taking away 50% of how a human walks through life. If you divide the sexes, you dissolve all loyalty. You're breaking down men and convincing them that they have to be women. They have to be more emotional. They have to be more this, more that, less masculine, more feminine. You're breaking down women and telling them they need to be hustlers. They need to profit off of men's lust and objectify themselves. And that's empowering. And then they're chronically empty, trying to be men. And then you break down the family, make the mother and father hate each other, fight over things. The kid's either going to be emotionally numb and insecure because it depends on what they're achieving, or they're going to be using emotions as an excuse to get through anything in life and never get anything achieved. It's creating a selfish society. And what happens when you take away all purpose, all duality, all of the divine complementary aspects that make us work so good together? What fills that void? Consumerism. When a woman can't rely on their man and a man can't rely on their woman for different needs, what do they depend on? The government. They depend on media to get their wisdom. The social norm to decide on their values and opinions, which is orchestrated and controlled by media bots, flooding social media, pushing narratives, pushing agendas, controlling how we think, molding our minds to be perfect little slaves, distracted from all the messed up shit that they're doing right in front of our eyes. So distracted and so quick to accept the mainstream narrative that we don't look into anything they're telling us. We just blindly accept it. Yeah, so guys, this video isn't about dating. This video is about a societal psy-op, because the best way to disarm a species is to make its two halves hate each other. We've got the elites that run the world, right? And then we've got the men, women of society. We're like, rah, 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 rah. And the elite's like, fuck you, I'm gonna control you, I'm gonna enslave you, gonna make you sick, gonna make you dependent on us, gonna make you broke, gonna make you depressed, like, and we're just so distracted by yada, 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 left, right, men, women. We should be looking up at them and what they're doing to us. Wake up. So what would happen if we reunited this duality? It would look like the men bringing structure and the women bringing soul. Men protecting and women connecting. Men initiating and women integrating. Society doesn't need men to be softer or women to be harder. It needs us both to remember who the fuck we are. Because when we unite, love isn't weakness, it's rebellion against what they're trying to do to us. Thanks for tuning into this video, guys. I hope it opened your mind to some of the blatant, offensive, quite frankly, it's offensive that they think they can get away with this right in front of our noses. Psy-ops that they're giving to us. Hope we can realize that. Subscribe to see more videos out weekly. Comment if there's anything, any thoughts you have on this, anything you want to yell at me about. If you don't agree with me, it is welcome in the comments. Respectful discourse is always encouraged in the comments. I'm going to reply to as many as I can. I love how much time you guys take out of your day to express your opinions to me. It is so valuable to me and so appreciated. You do not understand. Like this video, it'll push it out to more people. I personally think everyone needs to see this video because there is so much blatant misandry and misogyny in society, and it is making everyone chronically lonely and chronically empty. So share this video. In saying that, share it to as many people as you want to, or don't share it. Don't do any of those things if you don't want to, but yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you guys next week. And just remember, we were never designed to compete. We were designed to complete. And if you understand that, you will see why they worked so hard to make us forget that.